When you're trying to sell something to somebody that has no interest in what you want, that is where you're doing, because now you're trying to twist their arm and convince them. Nobody is convincing anybody, and I don't think you should ever convince anybody. You are just helping your patients make a decision. We're going to now get into the patient conversation, case acceptance, call it sales portion of this. There's only so deep we can go with that because there's endless amounts of tactics or strategies rather that we can use. But in the beginning, especially where everyone's at, where, haven't really talked about it with the patients, the beauty in that is you don't actually have to do like complex things to get them to start the case, right? It's just a matter of bringing up the conversation, talking about it the right way, showing them the value and diving into it. And so we'll go into the exact talk tracks. So the first way that I like to kind of bring this up is how this is lifetime value for the patient. And you want to focus the conversation on essentially like how much money is being saved. I find that people feel salesy when they're focused on the wrong things. If you focus on the benefits and the positives, it's not actually a negative. And so what I mean by the lifetime value for the patient is like, let's say a patient has got misaligned teeth, and let's say they're like 30 something years old. Are their teeth going to break and fall out tomorrow? No. Are they going to break and fall out next year? No. Are they going to wear down and cause bigger problems that are going to get worse over time? And maybe when they're 50 or 60, it's going to be a thing that they have to now invest $10,000 to $20,000 to actually get fixed across that time? Absolutely. Like that chance, that reality actually exists. And so it's realizing that and understanding that there is an amount that they have to invest in today to get their teeth into a healthier position, but that is a fraction of the cost that it's going to charge, like how much they would have to pay for the rest of their life to get all those problems managed, essentially in these Band-Aid solutions. Okay. When you are reviewing these wellness scans with the patients, right? You have that, let's say we've got that going. The patients are already kind of looking at it. You want to incorporate as many yeses as you can whenever you're questioning and reviewing it. So, it's basically something as simple as like, hey, so do you see how your teeth here are kind of worn down? Yes. Yeah, so do you see like in this area here where like, the gums are a bit inflamed? Yes. Do you see here how there's like this yellow stuff, this like plaque buildup? Yes. When they do that, it's a psychological frame because the more yeses that somebody says, the more likely they are going to basically essentially like say yes at the end. And you're not manipulating, but you are basically guiding the patient into the direction that is going to benefit them, okay? Something to always do is highlight all the problems. Show them all the problems. The more vivid you can be with your words, again, this is why having a scanner is a great tool, but the more that you can highlight the problems and the things that can go wrong, it's not meant to scare the patient, it's just meant to make it very real.
If you're a dentist who wants to get confidence with aligners and you just don't know where to start, be sure to check out one of my free trainings.
They did not come to a course for 2 days and learn about this stuff. They didn't. They sat down in your chair and you're supposed to basically show them everything in a matter of like minutes, right? So that's tough. And so it's like you have limited time and you have limited energy. So what do you focus on? The first thing you want to do, right, is you want to highlight the problems, really tell them everything that's going on. And then you want to provide the solution, because if you just highlight problems and you don't give a solution, well, that is where that negative stigma that comes across with dentists, like, oh, my dentist just tells me all the things that are wrong with me. And so if you don't tell them a solution, or at least ask them if they're interested in a way to improve the situation, then all you're doing is you're essentially berating them and just like, you're essentially just shitting on them. And it's like, that's not a good experience. But as long as you highlight the problems and then connect it to a solution, you're golden, because that's what they're going to want. And they're looking to you for that answer. And so this is where the PCS framework comes in. We're all pretty familiar with it, right? Problem, consequence, solution. And so this is where we are focusing on improving their oral health, right? That is the frame. It's not cosmetics. It is improving their oral health, because when you take all these pieces and you start to link them together, you have the scan, you show them what's going on, you ask them if they're interested in a solution, they say yes, you talk to them about clear aligners, right? It's plastic trays that move your teeth, you wear them for 22 hours a day, you brush and floss to keep them clean throughout treatment, and on the other end, your teeth are going to be in a healthier position than they are today. That's something that you'd be interested in, right? And I know it sounds super simple, but if you keep it tight like that, that is what helps them understand the value of it because you told them everything that's happening, everything that can kind of essentially like go wrong if we don't do anything, or you offering them another pathway forward, which is we can actually do something about this. The whole purpose here, right, is to create value while also creating urgency. Because I'm sure there's been implant cases or other cases that you guys have done where you tell them all about the value, but then there's no urgency. And so human beings need some type of urgency to do something, right? We all have endless options these days in terms of what can be done, what we can buy, what we can read, what we can, travel and go do. So thinking that dentistry is the top thing on their mind, it's not. They literally forget about it when they leave. Okay. And so that's why you have to highlight what is going on and why it's important today that we do something about it now. And this is where when you tie in essentially the negatives that can happen if you don't do anything, it's very simple. It's like, look, these are all the things that are going on. You may or may not have been aware of that, but now you are. Would you like to do something about this? And then that question is the best question because if they say no, amazing. Save your breath. You don't need to go further. And what happens is a lot of us will talk about treatment to patients that are just simply not interested, even when you provide that first initial bit of information. And then the patient doesn't move forward. And then now you feel, oh, nobody wants this. Like everyone's saying no. Like I'm salesy. I'm trying to, I feel like I'm pushing stuff on people. Salesy is when you're trying to sell something to somebody that has no interest in what you want. That is where you're doing, because now you're trying to twist their arm and convince them. Nobody's convincing anybody, and I don't think you should ever convince anybody, right? You are just helping your patients make a decision. And so that's where I say you have to believe. You need to believe in this. Something that I struggled with when I was first doing this, and it was a reason why I got like gun shy on proposing it to patients, is because I just didn't believe in it. I was like, I'm never seeing this actually work with my patients. So there was like a skeptical part of me. It wasn't a majority. Majority was like, I listened to people, I saw what was happening. But there was a small part of me that was like, man, I don't know. Is this stuff, is it going to really make a difference? Like, is it going to help? Like the crowding isn't that bad. Do we really need to do something right now? And the thing is even if they have mild crowding at 32, when they're 50, it's not going to get better. They're still going to have issues keeping it clean. They're still going to have, other things that can come of it. Teeth wear down or chip and all that. And what's going to change if nothing changes, right? And the thing is like, if you don't propose the treatment because you are prejudging and thinking this isn't that big of a deal, or aligners aren't really going to make that much of a difference, that's not your decision to make, because what you have to look at is the position of the teeth. Can we improve this? Oh, we can. I need to talk about this. I need to just bring it to their attention, because the reality is if you don't do it, that patient may leave you eventually. And guess what? By the time they see the next dentist, the next dentist is going to be like, hey, we should really improve this. We should fix this. And they'll say, yeah, my last dentist didn't talk to me about it, but I actually do want to do it. So that's like an opportunity that you missed out on, and you're doing a disservice to your patient when you do that. So whenever you feel like there's a part of you where, you're not sure, there's only so much that I can kind of give you guys. But at the end of the day, like if you don't believe it's going to work, that's a different story. If you don't believe it, then you shouldn't talk about it, because I don't think you should actually do something that you don't believe in, right? That in and of itself is a form of being unethical. But I will tell you this, when I first started, the level of belief I had in the treatment compared to 6 to 8 months later was night and day. In the beginning, like I said, I had probably about 80% belief. There were patients that I just didn't talk about it because I was like, I don't really think it's going to make that big of a difference. Then I actually saw patients go through it. And then a patient told me, hey, I'm so glad I did this. I am actually able to floss my teeth now. Like I can actually get between these two teeth. I wasn't able to do it before. And I was like, what? I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. He's like, I realized I never flossed because this tooth kept breaking. My floss kept breaking every time I did it. So I got annoyed. So I never flossed. But now I can floss so easily. And I was like, okay, I think this is pretty cool. Like, I mean, I was not like, I'll be honest, like I wasn't really telling every patient to floss their teeth. I was leaving that up to the hygienist. Like that wasn't like a number one conversation point. But when I saw that transformation, I was like, oh, and this was not a crazy case. This was like mild crowding. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And then I thought about the patients that I didn't talk to about it. And it's okay because they came in for recare. And that's when I talked about it. Not all of them moved forward, but some of them did. And so I share that so that it's like, you would be surprised. We have been, it's because we're conditioned to only see like minor crowding and not really talk about it. That's why. But when you actually do it and you move the patient through, what seems small to you is actually massive to them. And that's these barriers that we just don't even realize exist. And, you know, selling, obviously, dirty word. No one in dentistry likes to say it. But what it actually is what we're doing is preventative selling, right? In the sense of we are trying to get them into a treatment that will actually prevent a lot more problems down the road. And this is something that we've talked about, right? Extensively. We know what it's going to help with. So if you need to kind of classify it as something, classify it as that, preventative selling.
But if you want something that's more structured with some implementation resources and support, then you might be a good fit for our course, Aligner Blueprint. It has helped hundreds of dentists generate over $9 million in aligners alone, and they've all been able to do cases with confidence. The links for all those are in the description below, so you can go ahead and check that out, or go to our website, clearalineradvisor.co, and that's where you'll find all this information. So if you found one nugget in this training and you found it valuable, you need to go watch this video that I made. We go deeper in these aligner concepts. I'll see you in there. So if you're enjoying this video or found it helpful in any way, I'd really appreciate it if you could just share it with one of your dentist friends. Just copy the link, drop it in your favorite group chat, or post it in one of your favorite Facebook groups or communities, and just share it. That's it. My mission at the end of the day is to make aligner education accessible to as many dentists as possible. And so by sharing this video, you're gonna help me move closer to this goal, and I really appreciate your support.